Good day and God bless you. Welcome to the Bible reading in chronological order. Just such a privilege to have you with us. We thank the Lord for each of you. Thank you for joining and for participating with us in the reading of the Word of the Lord. I pray that this breakdown, this overview would just give us more insight even as we go through the Word of the Lord together. And I pray that the Lord would bless us as we read through His Word together. Today we're busy in the book of Malachi, and we're going to be going through chapters 1 through to 4. So basically finishing out the book of Malachi today. But firstly, let's just get into a bit of an overview. It is strange that the book of Malachi is very often preached from, yet it is a book seldom studied. The strange thing about the book of Malachi is that for a short 4-chapter book, you could preach almost any major theme or any subject, which is why we know pieces of the book so well, yet sometimes miss the book as a whole. Now, this book was written in approximately 397 BC by the prophet Malachi, and this book implores a call and response style. And even though the questions should be rhetorical, the people are so spoiled and apathetic at this point that they actually speak back to God with ingratitude and indignation. Now, the name Malachi means messenger of God, and strangely enough, this is one of the most important topics spoken of by Malachi the prophet, and he spends the last few verses of the book speaking to us about the messengers of God that are to come at different periods of time. Now, it's important to note that after this book was written, the Israelites went through a period of about 400 years in which they did not receive a prophet in the land, they did not have a prophet in the land, and this is often referred to as the 400 years of silence. But the silence is broken with the beginning of the New Testament and the fulfillment of prophecy, yes. But in actual fact, the silence is broken for the nation of Israel by the prophet of God, namely John the Baptist, and that prophecy is in the book of Malachi. Now, when we read through the book, we realize that great reform is absolutely necessary to prepare the way for the coming Messiah. And strangely enough, one of the saddest things about the book of Malachi is that it seems like the children of Israel almost deprive the Lord of giving them the blessings that He wishes to give them because of their ingratitude toward Him. And this is actually very heartbreaking when we think about it. Now, there's two sides to the book of Malachi. Firstly, we have the dark side of the book, and then we have the light side of the book. The dark side of the book is in reference to the sins of a dishonest and ungrateful people, as well as an unfaithful priesthood. They rob God by failure to respond to His divine love, by dishonoring the name of God, by presenting blemished offerings, by the priesthood not being spiritual leaders, but rather being a stumbling block to the people, by honoring sinners, by withholding tithes, by justifying impiety. And they also defraud one another by treacherous dealings, by marrying heathen, by divorcing, by sorcery and impurity and oppression of others. And this is really the dark side of the book. It's the dark side of humankind when we look at it. But then we have the light side of the book, and this is in reference to the glorious promises of God to the people. Because we see that in this book it says that the Lord will send the messenger of the covenant. He will give an outpouring of a great blessing. He will make the saints the treasure of the Lord. He will bring a new day in which the righteousness of the Lord will triumph, and He will send His messengers at appointed times to bring the people into the right state to receive the Lord. So let's get into the chapters and let's see how the chapters break down a little bit. In chapter 1, we see that this chapter begins with the burden of the Lord to Israel, and His burden is that He loves them, but they do not believe Him, and they cannot recognize His love. And without trusting the love of the Lord, it is impossible to truly worship Him with all of yourself. It is impossible to keep the commandments of the Lord without love as the motivation, or without love at the core. And so the Lord, through Malachi, complains of Israel's ingratitude, irreligiousness, and profaneness. If we look at chapter 1, we can find some major themes or doctrinal topics, namely the love of God. We can find the topic of ingratitude and where that will lead you. We find the topic of predestination. We find the topic of Godhead, the topic of obedience being better than sacrifice, the topic of the name of the Lord, and so much more. And so we see that already we can dig into these and we can just find so many topics within chapter 1 itself. And then in chapter 2, we see that the priests are sharply rebuked for profaning the covenant that was given to them. And the people are also sharply reproved for their treachery to one another, for marrying heathen people, for divorce, and for their impiety. And we see the state of the people is just putrid at this point. Then we get to chapter 3, and the theme of the third chapter is the messengers. Now it is important to realize the number and the distinction of the messengers mentioned from here on, as it can be easily confused. So we will try to draw from the New Testament a little bit as well, just to try and make sense of this. So firstly, we have the messenger of the covenant, which is the Lord himself, as in him and through him will the covenant of the Lord to Abraham be fulfilled. In Christ will all the families of the earth be blessed. That was the promise to Abraham. And so we see that the messenger of the covenant is the Lord himself. Then we have the messengers of the Lord, or what's referred to in this chapter as my messenger, which is actually the meaning of the author's name of the book. But it also refers to more than one person, as the ministry is plural. A messenger will come before both the first coming of the Lord as well as the second coming of the Lord. And so the Lord also challenges the people in this chapter with regard to tithing and asks that they prove him by paying their tithes. And then we read of the people that fear the Lord, and we see how they are named in the book of remembrance and shall be the jewels of the Lord. And finally we get to chapter 4, which is clearly describing the end times. And again, we read of the mercy of the Lord for his own, but the judgment on those that disregard him. And so the Lord speaks about the ministry of the messenger spoken about in the previous chapter, and now describes him as Elijah the prophet. Now, we cannot go into an entire study on this right now, but please read through this carefully, because the prophecy is that this prophet will minister before the great and dreadful day of the Lord. That is in reference to our day. But the reference is also to the first coming of the Lord Jesus. Let's break it down like this. We see that the ministry has two parts. The ministry firstly was to change the hearts of the fathers to the children. This is to make the old fathers, the Aaronic priesthood, the people that follow the Mosaic law, the old Jewish people, so they were regarded as the fathers, to believe the ministry of the Messiah, which was preached to them by the young men, by the church of Acts, by these people that were coming with something completely other than what they had been used to all the while. But then the second part of the ministry is to turn the hearts of the children, which is in reference to us now in our age, to the fathers of the faith. And the fathers of the faith is actually the early church, or the church of Acts, which at that stage were the children, but they became the fathers. And so now we need to turn in our age back to the church of Acts. And that is the important thing. We see that Paul calls that right through the New Testament. But when we look at it and we see that, how can you say that it's two ministries? We know that this ministry should come before the great and dreadful day of the Lord, which is in our age. When you look at it, when the Lord Jesus spoke about it, he says that this is in reference to John the Baptist, and he will forerun the first coming of the Lord. And so there will be a forerunner to the first coming of the Lord. Through this chapter and through the writings of Malachi, we can easily see as well that there needs to be a forerunner to the second coming of the Lord as well. And that's so important. All that to say, this book requires a lot more study and deep study of the entire book, the book as a whole, to receive the context, to understand what the prophet is talking about, or what the Lord is talking to us about through the prophet Malachi. And it's just an amazing book, so jam-packed. 4 chapters, but completely jam-packed. I pray that it would be a blessing to you as you go through it. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May his face shine upon you, and may he give you peace. God bless you as you enjoy the reading of the word today.
Malachi, chapter 1. The burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, saith the Lord. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith the Lord? Yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau, and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places, thus saith the Lord of hosts, They shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord hath indignation forever. And your eyes shall see, and ye shall say, The Lord will be magnified from the border of Israel. A son honoureth his father, and a servant his master. If then I be a father, where is mine honour? And if I be a master, where is my fear? Saith the Lord of hosts unto you. O priests that despise my name. And ye say, Wherein have we despised thy name? Ye offer polluted bread upon mine altar. And ye say, Wherein have we polluted thee? In that ye say, The table of the Lord is contemptible. And if ye offer the blind for sacrifice, is it not evil? And if ye offer the lame and sick, is it not evil? Offer it now unto thy governor. Will he be pleased with thee, or accept thy person? Saith the Lord of hosts. And now I pray you, beseech God that he will be gracious unto us. This hath been by your means. Will he regard your persons? Saith the Lord of hosts. Who is there even among you that would shut the doors for naught? Neither do ye kindle fire on mine altar for naught. I have no pleasure in you, saith the Lord of hosts, neither will I accept an offering at your hand. For from the rising of the sun even unto the going down of the same, my name shall be great among the Gentiles, and in every place incense shall be offered unto my name, and a pure offering. For my name shall be great among the heathen, saith the Lord of hosts. But ye have profaned it, in that ye say, The table of the Lord is polluted, and the fruit thereof, even his meat, is contemptible. Ye said also, Behold, what a weariness is it, and ye have snuffed at it, saith the Lord of hosts. And ye brought that which was torn, and the lame, and the sick. Thus ye brought an offering. Should I accept this of your hand, saith the Lord? But cursed be the deceiver, which hath in his flock a male, and voweth, and sacrificeth unto the Lord a corrupt thing. For I am a great king, saith the Lord of hosts, and my name is dreadful among the heathen. Chapter 2. And now, O ye priests, this commandment is for you. If ye will not hear, and if ye will not lay it to heart to give glory unto my name, saith the Lord of hosts, I will even send a curse upon you, and I will curse your blessings. Yea, I have cursed them already, because ye do not lay it to heart. Behold, I will corrupt your seed, and spread dung upon your faces, even the dung of your solemn feasts, and one shall take you away with it. And ye shall know that I have sent this commandment unto you, that my covenant might be with Levi, saith the Lord of hosts. My covenant was with him of life and peace, and I gave them to him, for the fear wherewith he feared me, and was afraid before my name. The law of truth was in his mouth, and iniquity was not found in his lips. He walked with me in peace and equity, and did turn many away from iniquity. For the priest's lips should keep knowledge, and they should seek the law at his mouth. For he is the messenger of the Lord of hosts. But ye are departed out of the way. Ye have caused many to stumble at the law. Ye have corrupted the covenant of Levi, saith the Lord of hosts. Therefore have I also made you contemptible and base before all the people, according as ye have not kept my ways, but have been partial in the law. Have we not all one Father? Hath not one God created us? Why do we deal treacherously every man against his brother by profaning the covenant of our fathers? Judah hath dealt treacherously, and an abomination is committed in Israel and in Jerusalem. For Judah hath profaned the holiness of the Lord which he loved, and hath married the daughter of a strange god. The Lord will cut off the man that doeth this, the master and the scholar, out of the tabernacles of Jacob, and him that offereth an offering unto the Lord of hosts. And this have ye done again, covering the altar of the Lord with tears, with weeping and with crying out, insomuch that he regardeth not the offering any more, or receiveth it with good will at your hand. Yet ye say, Wherefore? Because the Lord hath been witness between thee and the wife of thy youth, against whom thou hast dealt treacherously. Yet is she thy companion, and the wife of thy covenant. And did not he make one? Yet had he the residue of the Spirit. And wherefore one? That he might seek a godly seed. Therefore take heed to your spirit, and let none deal treacherously against the wife of his youth. For the Lord, the God of Israel, saith that he hateth putting away. For one covereth violence with his garment, saith the Lord of hosts. Therefore take heed to your spirit, that ye deal not treacherously. Ye have wearied the Lord with your words, yet ye say, wherein have we wearied him? When ye say, every one that doeth evil is good in the sight of the Lord, and he delighteth in them. Or, where is the God of judgment? Chapter 3. Behold, I will send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me. And the Lord whom ye seek shall suddenly come to his temple, even the messenger of the covenant whom ye delight in. Behold, he shall come, saith the Lord of hosts. But who may abide the day of his coming? And who shall stand when he appeareth? For he is like a refiner's fire, and like fuller's soap. And he shall sit as a refiner and purifier of silver, and he shall purify the sons of Levi, and purge them as gold and silver, that they may offer unto the Lord an offering in righteousness. Then shall the offering of Judah and Jerusalem be pleasant unto the Lord, as in the days of old, and as in former years. And I will come near to you to judgment. And I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers, and against the adulterers, and against false swearers, and against those that oppress the hireling in his wages, the widow and the fatherless, and that turn aside the stranger from his right, and fear not me, saith the Lord of hosts. For I am the Lord, I change not. Therefore ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. Even from the days of your fathers ye are gone away from mine ordinances, and have not kept them. Return unto me, and I will return unto you, saith the Lord of hosts. But ye said, wherein shall we return? Will a man rob God? Yet ye have robbed me. But ye say, wherein have we robbed thee? In tithes and offerings. Ye are cursed with a curse, for ye have robbed me, even this whole nation. Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house, and prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven, and pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it. And I will rebuke the devourer for your sakes, and he shall not destroy the fruits of your ground. Neither shall your vine cast her fruit before the time in the field, saith the Lord of hosts. And all nations shall call you blessed, for ye shall be a delightsome land, saith the Lord of hosts. Your words have been stout against me, saith the Lord. Yet ye say, what have we spoken so much against thee? Ye have said, it is vain to serve God. And what profit is it that we have kept his ordinance, and that we have walked mournfully before the Lord of hosts? And now we call the proud happy, yea, they that work wickedness are set up. Yea, they that tempt God are even delivered. Then they that feared the Lord spake often one to another, and the Lord hearkened and heard it. And a book of remembrance was written before him for them that feared the Lord, and that thought upon his name. And they shall be mine, saith the Lord of hosts, in that day when I make up my jewels. And I will spare them, as a man spareth his own son that serveth him. Then shall ye return, and discern between the righteous and the wicked, between him that serveth God, and him that serveth him not. Chapter 4. For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly, shall be stubble. And the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings. And ye shall go forth and grow up as calves of the stall. And ye shall tread down the wicked, for they shall be ashes under the soles of your feet in the day that I shall do this, saith the Lord of hosts. Remember ye the law of Moses my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb for all Israel, with the statutes and judgments. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. The end of Malachi. The end of the prophets. The end of the Old Testament.